my name is William Bland and I'm associated with TMS Financial Services, Eng Saving, and I've known Eng for approximately 20 years, probably more closely in the last 12 years since I retired in 2001. I'm 65 years old now, and I worked as a senior executive in a large company for the majority of my life, and when that company ownership changed hands, the new owners wanted to put in their own executive, and I wasn't part of that team. So there was an opportunity to retire, and I took that opportunity and I sought advice from TMS about setting up my self-managed super fund as a consequence of those things that transpired back in year 2001. So that year was a turning point for me. It was a year where I had to gain a lot of new experience, and the setting up of the super fund and the administration of that was something which I didn't know anything about, but fortunately Eng Saving has had a lot of experience in that field, and I was able to draw on that experience, and based on that information and the confidence that I gained initially, I asked Eng to set up a self-managed super fund for me, which she proceeded to do. So she established the legal entities and all the administration components of that super fund for me. It worked pretty well, and I must admit it was a very simple process. So it wasn't long before I was able to take full control of my retirement funds and apply my needs directly to the investment criteria of that super fund, with Eng as advisor from time to time when I wanted to use that money in certain ways. I always sought the advice of Eng, and she was able to keep me on track, so to speak. It wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing, but I certainly didn't have any experience or understand the tax implications of using the money in my super fund in any type of investment. So here we go. What seemed like a very daunting and hard process in the beginning in 2001 turned out to be a very simple process and a very relaxed process, and a process which assisted me greatly. It assisted me a lot in many ways. Well, number one, the law changes from time to time, especially related to superannuation. And as the law changed, there were different implications for me, having some substantial investments in my super fund. But I was kept up to date by TMS, and I was able to adjust my situation according to the changing law and the changing circumstances. The main benefit in the super fund is the tax advantage. I was able to earn money in my super fund, and I still am, and I was able to earn that money tax-free. It's a very important component. When you're retired and you have large sums of money invested, you don't want to be burdened by the tax. You want to have the full amount of funds available for reinvestment or drawing for living expenses or whatever you need that money for. You don't want to be burdened by taxation issues. That's not to say that on occasions some tax may be payable, but it appears from all the regulations that in my case there have been virtually no tax applicable. So just to recap, I was able to invest in property, bank interest, in the share market, and I was able to earn money without having the burden of taxation applied to it. And that whole process was managed administratively by TMS. The advantage of doing it in this way was really enormous, because I didn't have the worry of the administration or as I mentioned before, the changing laws, and I didn't have the worries of compliance from tax point of view, from audit point of view, or ASIC point of view. I was kept up to date I had regular meetings with Eng Saving to bring me up to date and to keep me abreast of any changes that were occurring in the super arena, and that made the whole process very straightforward and very simple for me. Notwithstanding those comments, the other issue is the cost, and the cost of administering this fund is very reasonable when you compare it to the overall value of the fund itself. So altogether, very successful association, starting many years ago and ongoing, and I expect that this relationship will continue for many, many years in the future.